Part 14, the Etymons of Nick Fuentes. So far, no great comments in the comment section. I've been reading to robots for a while now. Anyways, let's begin. The mytho-technical appendix to dream work, technique, and the machine gods. Work is nameable only through misnaming. One must pretend to work in order for work to become true. The psyche labors to produce the appearance of labor. The worker who never exists yet always labors. The phantasmatic worker is the worker who exists only in the imagination of work, yet whose shadows perform more labor than any hand. Every worker is doubled by their phantasm, the invisible self who does the work for them, as them, or instead of them. Work to take root requires the second self. Action alone is insufficient. The soul must become its own overseer. The phantasmatic worker is not a metaphor. It is the true agent inside every act of labor, the internal figure who validates the doing. Thus all real work is haunted work, and all haunting is a labor of attribution. Pretending to work precedes working, simulation precedes vocation. The burglar turned window cleaner is the primal myth of the phantasmatic worker. What begins in fraud becomes fate. The child sweeping imaginary floors, the adult getting ready to work, the actor portraying authority. Each rehearses the gesture that produces the worker. Pretense is the incubator of reality. Work becomes true only once its fiction has been elaborated sufficiently to withstand belief. To work is to stabilize the performance until the performer forgets they are performing. Work requires the worker to imagine themselves as working, otherwise the task dissolves into mere action. This imagining is not optional. It is the prime labor, the labor behind labor. The ritual of work, desk, uniform, posture, place, form a technique of self-mesmerism, a choreography through which the work imaginary takes hold. The worker enters a trance of taskness, suspending the difference between effort and identity. Thus, work is a self-induced enchantment, a spell cast to convince oneself that one is bound to necessity. Work becomes real not when the task is done, but when it is satisfied the criteria of workhood: visibility, framing, recognizability. The worker must appear at work to themselves and to others for work to count. The external sign, clipboard, broom, interface, inbox are the costumes of work. Without them, the role cannot be inhabited. The phantasmatic worker lives in the modality of as if this task mattered, as if effort produced truth, as if the world required this performance. This as if is not false, it is constitutive. Work is a metaphysic sustained by a grammar of supposition. Even the most mechanical labor requires the metaphysical supplement, otherwise effort collapses into meaningless motion. The phantasmic worker is the guarantor of purpose, an internal witness who signs the ledger of one's exertion. Without this witness, machines produce but do not work, animals toil but do not labor, rivers carve but do not create. Work must be real work, a tautology demanded by the psyche to soothe its worry over meaning. This demand emerges because the soul senses the theatricality of its own doing and fears exposure. Thus, real work is less about effort than about self-credibility. The worker believing in the workerhood. The phantasmatic worker is the internal auditor of authenticity, forever testing each gesture for sincerity. This produces the reciprocal anxiety of work. Not simply am I doing enough, but am I at work at all? Worry is the underside of labor, the shadow action that powers the overt action. We worry about work because work itself is a worry, a strangling grappling with the question of seriousness. Worry is the self-labor that ensures the phantasmic worker stays active even when the hands are idle. Work, and worry work interlace. One produces tasks, the other sustains a sense of obligation, hence the secret. We do not work in order to finish tasks, we work in order to keep anxiety at bay. As machines take over tasks, the phantasmatic worker grows only more powerful, for the theater of work must remain inhabited. Machine gods will not replace workers, they will replace tasks, but tasks do not constitute work. The phantasmatic worker does. Machines will perform, but without phantasm they cannot labor. Thus they require human belief to make their performance count. The future worker is not the fleshy agent, but the phantasm that organizes significance around machinery. The machine gods will inherit Prometheus's burden to animate action with meaning, even where meaning no longer rests on action. All work is the effort to convince oneself that one's actions belong to a world that wants them. The phantasmatic worker is the artisan of this conviction, soldering action to identity, performance to purpose, anxiety to necessity. Work is the dream by which the waking world believes in itself. The sun shone, having no alternative on the nothing new. Repetition is what enables and abolishes meaning at once. To repeat is to reread. The second time through is the only time that counts. The work of art overhears itself. The worker overwrites himself. Repetition is not a stylistic device, but the primordial technique of language. The capacity to be replayed in the absence of what one names. This is the original machine. Language becomes language only when it can be lifted from its referent. Repetition is the lever of that lifting. Every utterance is its own ghost, already a copy, already a rehearsal. Nothing is said for the first time. Every utterance is its own ghost, already a copy, already a rehearsal. Nothing is said for the first time. Thus, repetition is both the womb and the tomb of meaning. It inaugurates difference by reproducing it. Dream philology begins here, in the recognition that thought is an echo chamber where meaning survives by repeating itself into dissolution. The first machine god is the word that returns. Repetition creates an economy where novelty is merely slight twist and sameness, a modulation. Every new thought is a permutation of an old syllable. Every Promethean fire is a rekindling of an earlier spark. Repetition is the iron law that binds the imagination to its own material. Novelty is never a substance, only a syntax.